They're ancient. I look like my great Aunt Tessie.
Don't drink it, Ron.
There is a question that has divided the Harry Potter fandom for 20 years. Was Ron Weasley always this annoying, or did Warner Bros.' Harry Potter films do something to him? Because if you have only ever watched the Harry Potter films, Ron Weasley is Harry's goofy, cowardly, occasionally mean best friend who mostly stands in the background while Hermione solves everything. But if you have read J.K. Rowling's books, Ron Weasley is one of the most courageous, strategically brilliant, emotionally complex characters in the entire series. Those are not two versions of the same character. They are two completely different people. And today we are going to answer the question that millions of Harry Potter fans have searched for. Why did the Harry Potter films ruin Ron Weasley? Who made the decision? How many times did it happen? And what does it mean for Alastair Stout, the actor who now inherits this role in HBO's brand new Harry Potter series? By the end of this video, you will never see Ron Weasley the same way again. If you already know the films got Ron wrong and you want to know exactly how, drop a comment right now. I want to see how many of us are here for justice. Let's go. Part 1. The Man Who Did It, and the admission that changed everything. To understand what happened to Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter films, you have to understand one single fact. Screenwriter Steve Kloves wrote 7 of the 8 Harry Potter films. Every script, every line of dialogue, every decision about who got which moment, who said which line, and who stood in the background while someone else solved the problem. And Steve Kloves publicly, repeatedly, stated that Hermione Granger was his favorite character. Not in a private letter, not in a leaked email, on the record, in interviews, at film events. He was not shy about it. Producer David Heyman later called Kloves the most key person in shaping these adaptations. Now think about what that means. The single person most responsible for translating these characters from J.K. Rowling's pages to the screen was operating with a favorite. And that favorite was not Ron. Chris Columbus directed the first 2 films, but it was Alfonso Cuarón's Prisoner of Azkaban where the Ron diminishment became most visible. This is not a theory, this is not speculation. This is a documented fact about the creative process behind the most successful film franchise of the 2000s. And once you know it, you cannot unsee it in a single film. Part 2. 17 moments. Not 1. Not 5. 17. Buzzfeed published a detailed count of every moment in all 8 Harry Potter films where either Ron Weasley's best lines were given to Hermione Granger, or Ron was actively made worse, crueler, or more cowardly than he is in J.K. Rowling's books. The number was 17. 17 specific moments across 8 films where Ronald Weasley was deliberately diminished or erased. That is not an accident. That is not the unavoidable consequence of adapting a long book series. 17 is a pattern. 17 is a choice. Let me take you through the most important ones, because some of these will genuinely make you angry. If this is making you think of a moment from the films that always bothered you, pause and drop it in the comments. I want to build the full list with you. Part 3. The broken leg. The bravest moment in the entire series, given to someone else. In J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the trio encounters Sirius Black in the Shrieking Shack. At this point in the story, Sirius is believed to be a dangerous murderer who helped Voldemort find the Potters. Ron Weasley is injured. A werewolf bite has broken his leg, and he can barely stand. He is in genuine physical agony. And when Sirius Black moves toward Harry, Ron Weasley drags himself upright on that broken leg, puts himself physically between his best friend and the man he believes wants to kill Harry, looks Sirius Black directly in the eyes and says this: "If you want to kill Harry, you will have to kill us too." A 13-year-old boy, broken leg, convinced he's about to face a murderer, standing firm. That is not comic relief. That is not a sidekick. That is one of the most purely brave moments any character has in all 7 books. In the film, that line belongs to Hermione Granger. Ron stands in the background. He does not speak. He does not act. He is simply there while Hermione delivers his bravest moment as if it were her own. And this is important. Not because it diminishes Hermione. Hermione is extraordinary and does not need lines stolen from other characters to prove it, but because it means that anyone who only watched the films will never know that Ron Weasley would stand on a broken leg for his friends. That knowledge changes everything about how you read him. Part 4. The chess game. The moment that proved Ron was the smartest person in the room. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry, Ron, and Hermione face a life-sized wizard chessboard as one of the obstacles protecting the Philosopher's Stone. In J.K. Rowling's book, this moment belongs entirely to Ron Weasley. He surveys the board. He thinks. He sees the entire game in his head, and he solves it in seconds. A puzzle that had defeated every student and adult who had ever attempted it. Then he willingly sacrifices himself as a piece so Harry and Hermione can move forward. Ron Weasley did not stumble into bravery. He calculated it. He saw the board, understood exactly what victory would cost him personally, and chose it anyway. The films kept the scene, but they never showed you Ron thinking. They never showed you the board from his perspective. They never made it clear that what Ron did required genuine brilliance, not just loyalty. To a film-only viewer, Ron sacrificed himself because the plot required someone to. To a book reader, Ron saved everyone by being the smartest person at the board in the most important game of his life. That difference is the entire difference between a hero and a sidekick. Part 5. Snape called Hermione a know-it-all. What happened next tells you everything. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Severus Snape calls Hermione Granger a know-it-all in front of the entire class. He says it to demean her in a moment of deliberate cruelty. In J.K. Rowling's book, Ron Weasley immediately and publicly defends her. He speaks up. He challenges a teacher he is terrified of because a teacher said something cruel about his friend. In the film, Ron Weasley says, and I want you to really hear this, he has got a point, you know. In the book, Ron stands up for Hermione when a teacher humiliates her. In the film, Ron agrees with the teacher who humiliates her. Same character, same scene. Completely opposite response. That is not simplification. That is not a necessary cut for pacing. That is an active rewrite that makes Ron Weasley a less decent human being in order to, presumably, make the scene funnier. And Ron and Hermione's romantic relationship in the later films suffers enormously for moments like this one. You are supposed to believe these two people have loved each other since they were 11 years old, but the films repeatedly show you a Ron who is dismissive, cowardly, and occasionally cruel. The romantic tension never lands because the films forgot to show you why Hermione might actually love this person. Part 6, Deathly Hallows. Ron came back, and the films threw it away. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Ron Weasley abandons Harry and Hermione. He's wearing the Horcrux locket, a piece of Voldemort's soul that feeds on his deepest insecurities, and it breaks him. He leaves. This is one of the most human moments in the entire series. Ron is not a saint. He has been carrying the weight of being Harry Potter's best friend since he was 11, always second, always the one the newspapers forget, always the one standing slightly to the left in the photograph. The Horcrux finds that wound and tears it open, and then he comes back. In J.K. Rowling's book, Ron's return is one of the most moving scenes Rowling ever wrote. He explains to Harry and Hermione exactly what the Horcrux showed him. His worst fears made real. Harry and Hermione together. Hermione telling him he was always the one they kept out of loyalty, never out of love. He explains what it took to fight through that vision. He explains why he came back anyway. He explains who he chose to be when given the chance to be something lesser. It is Ron Weasley at his most human, his most honest, and his most heroic. All at once. The film gives him approximately 30 seconds. Harry and Hermione look at him. Ron looks at the Horcrux. He destroys it. The scene moves on. 30 seconds for the most emotionally complicated moment in Ron Weasley's entire arc. That is not adaptation, that is erasure. Part 7. What this cost the entire story. Here's the thing that most people miss when they talk about Ron Weasley being ruined in the films. It is not just about Ron. The entire point of the Golden Trio is that all 3 Gryffindors at Hogwarts are essential, not one hero and 2 supporters. 3 people who each bring something irreplaceable to the mission. Hermione is the brain, the knowledge, the preparation. Without Hermione, they do not know what they are looking for or how to find it. Harry is the symbol, the lightning scar, the one Voldemort fears. Without Harry, there is no one to face Voldemort at the end. And Ron is the heart, the emotional intelligence, the one who keeps the other two human, the one who reminds Harry that he is loved not because of his scar, but because of who he is. The one who understands that winning is not the only thing that matters. When the films reduce Ron to comic relief, they do not just hurt Ron, they damage the architecture of the entire trio. They make it look like Hermione and Harry could have done all of this without him, and that fundamentally changes what the story's about. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter is a story about love defeating power, about the connections we choose being stronger than the ones we are born into, about ordinary people doing extraordinary things not because they were destined to, but because they decided to. Ron Weasley is the living proof of that theme. An ordinary boy from an ordinary family who chose to stand on a broken leg, sacrifice himself on a chessboard, and come back after the worst version of himself told him not to. The films turned him into a punchline, and in doing so, they quietly broke the heart of the story. Rupert Grint brought what he could to the role, but the script gave him nothing to work with. Part 8. HBO and Alastair Stout. One chance to get this right? The new HBO Harry Potter series has cast a young actor named Alastair Stout as Ron Weasley. He is unknown. He has no credits. He was selected from over 40,000 children who auditioned for the role. And he has inherited the most mishandled major character in blockbuster history. But here is why there is genuine reason for hope. The HBO series has 8 full episodes per book. That is more screen time for a single novel than all 8 original films combined. For the first time, there is space to show Ron thinking at the chessboard, space to let him stand on that broken leg and deliver his own line, space to give his return in Deathly Hallows the 30 pages it deserves. Showrunner Francesca Gardner and her team have the opportunity to understand what the original films missed. The question is not whether the HBO series can fix what the films did to Ron Weasley. It clearly can. The question is whether the writers will understand that fixing Ron is not optional. It is not a nice bonus for book fans. It is the structural requirement for the story to mean what J.K. Rowling intended it to mean. Ron Weasley is the heart of Harry Potter. If the HBO series understands that, everything else follows. If it does not, we will be having this conversation again in 10 years. So here is what I want to know. What is the single moment from the books that you most want the HBO series to give Alastair Stout's Ron Weasley? The broken leg, the chess game, the return in Deathly Hallows, something else entirely. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I will be making a video about exactly what the HBO series needs to do with Ron. And I want your answers to be part of it. If this video gave you something you did not know before, subscribe. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else does. And if you want to know what they did to the other characters, what they did to Ginny Weasley, to Neville Longbottom, to Fred, the full video is linked right here. We are not done. Until next time.